Hello YouTube, back with the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Review, and today I'm reviewing a very old monster from the classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Gate Guardian. Of course, this was a card that made an appearance in the anime and was pretty much legendary because it was basically three separate monsters combined into one. It's also still relatively difficult to summon. It had some kind of different game mechanics on how it was played. I think even in a variety of other games it may have made an appearance in some way or another as a ritual monster, but honestly, the card is crap. It's got to be one of the worst cards in the game. Without a doubt, it's arguably worse than Larvamoth. At least Larvamoth only requires one monster and is at least searchable. You can't do that with this. This card literally has basically no uses other than to be used with the Zubaba General, which is an Xyz monster. You detach material and then you equip it with the warrior. And that's not even worth doing because you're wasting your entire deck. Your deck is being wasted. You're wasting a deck slot for a card that you can't even use except when that card is on the field. And this guy requires a total of, let's see, 9 tributes, 6 for each of the individual monsters because they're all level 7, and then 3 to tribute them all off for this card. And this card has no protection whatsoever, and no other effects in general whatsoever. I mean, yeah, it's got 3750 attack and 3400 defense points, but that really doesn't mean much at all. I mean, yeah, back then, there weren't a lot of ways to stop cards like this, but the odds of you seeing it were slim to none, because all the pieces were hard to get. The individual, Saga the Thunder, Suijin, and Kazijin were all supers, and those were like ridiculously hard to get compared to now. And Gate Guardian is a secret. So the odds of you ever seeing Gate Guardian at any given time were slim to none anyway. And of course, and then we eventually get Legacy of Darkness, we get Bottomless Trap Hole, and that became a rare. So basically, this card had basically nothing to fear anymore. It's hands down, I mean, yeah, it's a classic monster from the classic series, but it absolutely sucks. I mean, it's absolutely awful. It's so bad that if you ended up summoning it to field successfully, you wouldn't be able to do it today. But if you did, you basically just pat yourself on the back and maybe, I don't know, your opponent's not going to surrender just because they get a 3750 beat stick on the field. I mean, the least they could have done is have it be, I mean, even if it didn't have any other effects printed on the card, the least they could have done is allowed you to just send them from your hand. Because then they can be in your hand. They're still not searchable. None of the 3 cards are searchable. Even to this day. They're probably maybe a little bit more likely to be played now because you've got a little more uses, but no one's going to run Gate Guardian. Nobody even runs the 3 pieces that make it up because they suck. Their effects are one time. When they're on the field, you can basically make the attack of the opponent's monster 0, and then you'll have to resummon them again or flip them face down or do something else. But that's just stupid. I mean, there's a lot of better ways to make use of that. This guy isn't even searchable. There's nothing that really, as far as I can tell, that can actually search this card. Or if there is, you're not wasting your time with this because, I mean, it's also level 11. You can't even use it with a wild monster appears, which requires level 10. And you can't lower its level to make that happen either, because that card specifically says it has to have the original level of 10. I mean, granted, we got Pendulum Summoning, which helps it. It's probably the best use for this card, honestly, but why would you bother? Why would you waste the time? You're still going to have low odds of having all 3 components of Gate Guardian in your hand at any given time. It's really unfortunate that the least they could have done, or made it a fusion. They could have made it a fusion, they could have made it a ritual, they could have done a lot better job of making this card more feared than it actually was. I'm sure maybe to an extent people liked it because it was part of the anime, but as a secret rare, it is awful. And it even got reprinted in the Retro Pack in Europe as an Ultra. It's like, are you kidding me? Do we not know that this card is exceptionally vulnerable to just about every card in the game? I mean, if you don't take it out in battle, you can easily overcome it. Heck, Cyrus and Jaden actually overcame this card easily. All I had to do was put it in defense mode and destroy it with Shield Crush. Jaden put it in defense mode with Spark Blaster. Cyrus used Shield Crush to destroy it. That's how bad this card is. It is vulnerable to very simple tactics. And of course, it got involved in the Dark Guardian, but that card is pretty bad too because it relies on this card being in the graveyard. I mean, luckily, you probably wouldn't have to at least summon it and then use it, but I mean, it costs half your life points just to do that. I think this card was also one of those cards that was seen in the Legendary Heroes storyline in Season 1, where it was one of the cards you could get. It was also a prize card. I mean, it seems to be a theme with these cards is they just flat out suck. All the prize cards that are released, especially nowadays, they just flat out suck because you can't use them. Why would you make a prize card that no one can use? Oh, but it's a collector's item. Screw you. Being a collector's item should be at least viable. It should not be worth $5,000 to obtain a card you can't use ever. So what kind of collector's item is it if you can't even use it? No one's gonna want it either because you can't use it. Okay, yeah. You probably could get some sap, unfortunately, who has $5,000 to spend on an individual card. And that's being generous. $5,000 is being generous. Some are worth even more than that. I mean, Cyberstein was originally going to go for 23 grand, although that was totally legal. But this card, not worth being a prize card, not really worth being existing. I think, thankfully, it finally got down to a rare in Dark Legends. That was the debut of it as a rare. I think at most in Metal Raiders, which is where it debuted, that's the same set we got Mirror Force in, and then oddly enough, the Ultimate Beginner's Guide actually listed this card as one of the best cards in the game. But it should have been probably at most a super. Not even an ultra, not even secret, because it's just not playable. Now maybe they did it just so you wouldn't pull it. But either way, hands down, I mean, great to see in the anime, and it released the card, but terrible execution in terms of how to play it. I'm really hoping we get a retrained version of this card eventually later on. Whether it's a Dark Guardian, which was used by Paradox later on in GX, that was the same duel. Or we get a much better version of this card that doesn't require such god-awful summoning requirements. But that's my review on Gate Guardian. Thanks for watching.